This question comes to us from M, and M writes this: Hey, WeTV, can you discuss what it looks like practically for a wife to submit to her husband? Thanks for the help on this question, M. M, very good question. I'm hesitant to answer this, for one, because I'm a man, and secondly, this is a really hot topic in our day and age. You see, when it comes to identifying the roles of men and women in marriage, husbands and wives, this can go all over the place. Some people, on one hand, will say that a man is to be the slayer of wild beasts, the lifter of heavy objects, and also the opener of pickle jars. And the woman, on the other hand, is to be that docile, quiet wife who is the conqueror of making roast beefs in the kitchen. And then all of a sudden you have this huge fight developed because people will say that you've somehow tightened the roles of men and women too much. But here's what we're going to do. Let's look at Scripture and see how Scripture talks about husbands and wives, especially this idea of women submitting to their husband. I'm reminded of Ephesians chapter 5. And real briefly, let me just read a portion of Ephesians 5, chapter 5, verses 21 and following. It says that submitting to one another out of reverence for Christ. And then we get to verse 22. It says, wives, submit to your husbands as to the Lord. And then we go on to verse 25, and it says, husbands, love your wives as Christ loved the church and gave himself up for her. So the question then, though, is what does this look like practically speaking? Let me just share with you just an excerpt from the most recent book that I have written. This book here titled, Will the Real Jesus Please Stand Up? And there's a section here in I believe it's chapter 11 here, that talks about Ephesians 5, and it says this: Ephesians 5 is not about Jesus lording leadership and power and authority over the church, but rather it is about Jesus sacrificing everything for the sake of loving his bride, the church. In turn, what this means is that Ephesians 5 is not about the husband lording leadership, power, and authority over his wife, but rather it is about the husband sacrificing everything, dying to self for the sake of his wife, just as the real Jesus did for the church. More specifically, what this means is that the wife is not to become a doormat to the husband, something he tramples upon to get his own way. Rather, a wife is called to trust, yes, trust her husband, knowing that he is to be a husband to her as Jesus is a husband to the church. She is to trust that everything her husband does is ultimately for her good, because the husband is called to give his own life to save hers. He sets aside his own comfort to defend and protect his bride no matter the personal cost. To submit to a husband who is called to protect her with his very life truly means the wife gets to rest in the protection and his loving arms, and that is a great gift. You see, when it comes down to it, Ephesians 5 is all about trust and sacrifice. The woman trusting, the wife trusting her husband, and the husband sacrificing everything, dying to himself, dying and giving everything completely for his wife. And then the beautiful thing that as we expound on this between husband and wife, the husband and wife, then they die to themselves as they indeed serve their children. So coming back to your question, a real practical outlook, I'd say practically speaking, that means trusting your husband. And for the husband, it is sacrificing for your wife, trusting and sacrificing ultimately out of the reverence of Christ, who has given everything, both for the husband and wife, everything to all of us. So I hope that helps, and we'll catch you next time.
Worldview Everlasting is solid, Christian, and free because it is viewer supported. Your monthly gift of $5, $10, or $25 is the reason that we can continue to improve and expand these tools for online Christian outreach and discipleship. To make a one-time donation, sign up for the Lutheran Ninja Clan regular giving, or to find information about how to put Worldview Everlasting in your congregation's budget, click Donate Now.